I am in month 2 of water only fasting, and what water only fasting means is I'm consuming 0 sweeteners, I'm consuming 0 fat coffees, I'm consuming 0 anything other than water, black coffee, and tea in my fasting window, plus OMAD. And what OMAD stands for, if you're new here, is 1 meal a day. So that means every single day I am getting in my nutrition into this 1 meal window. And with that 1 meal window, that is between 1 hour to 4 hours. Sometimes it's a little less, sometimes it's like 30 minutes. It depends on the day, it depends on what's going on and how I want to do this. Sometimes, you know, I have 1 meal and I eat it very quickly and I'm perfectly fine closing out my window, working with my hormones. So today's video, we're going to be doing an update because I am now in month 2 of OMAD. I took a little 4 or 5 day break after my first month of OMAD, and if you missed that video, you definitely want to go check that out after this one. First 27 days straight of OMAD. I think it'll fill you in a lot on a lot of the details, my results, all of that. But now I'm into month 2. So we took the kids on a vacation. We went to Orlando. We had a great trip, and this video today, I'm gonna blow your mind with some incredible information that I think is gonna make a massive difference in a lot of your experience, the results you get with OMAD, and how you're doing this lifestyle. So my goal is to go on 1 month stretches. So that'll be like a month of OMAD, and then maybe take a couple days off fasting for about maybe 4 or 5 days, maybe less. I don't know, depends on how I'm feeling. That little break time, which I did do while we were on vacation. And this, I think, is the biggest difference, because normally when I go on vacation, I eat whatever, whenever. I just throw my lifestyle and diet out the window completely, because I'm like, you know what, I'm on vacation. I don't want to be concerned about carbs. I want to be able to eat all of the things. I want to make this a lifestyle that I can stick with. But this time on vacation, I was armed with some incredible information from this book I read called The Glucose Revolution from the Glucose Goddess. I talked a little bit about this in the last video, but her book was so good. I listened to it twice, literally listened to it twice. And then I decided to test out while I was on vacation some of the things that I learned on my continuous glucose monitor that I have installed in my arm, which gives me minute by minute feedback on how my blood glucose is handling foods and different types of things like that. So instead of going on this vacation and just eating all the carbs all the time, snacking all day, and just going absolutely crazy, which is part of the reason why I went OMAD to begin with, was to stop that pattern of behavior, I decided to follow the Glucose Goddess advice, and I can still eat and consume carbohydrates on this trip, but doing it in a specific order with the goal of not spiking my blood glucose, because high blood glucose spikes can lead to a ton of really bad things, especially really high insulin levels. And we want to, and that's the biggest goal of OMAD and water fasting, is to minimize insulin, right? Okay, so while consuming carbs, and this is relevant for you because even if you're like not going on vacation and not about to just go and like blow it and eat whatever, it's relevant to you because in your typical daily life with the types of foods that you're eating, if you are consuming carbohydrates in there, or if you're going long fasted durations and then you're consuming foods that do have some carbohydrates, while many people do this, this advice can help you tremendously. And I'm going to show you examples of how it helped me on my continuous glucose monitor. Every day on vacation, I was not fasting. I was having breakfast, but I was not having lunch, and I was having dinner. So I've trained my body to pretty much go with 1 meal a day, and lunch in the middle of the day just didn't make sense for me, okay? But breakfast made sense because every morning we went to breakfast with my kids. So I had a breakfast, and then I had a nice little stretch from breakfast to dinner. And in both of these meals, I was consuming carbohydrates, and I was consuming a lot of carbohydrates. And I tested it all on my blood glucose monitor with the meal timing. So what I did at breakfast was I had a savory breakfast with salad with some lemon vinaigrette on there. I had eggs, I had bacon, I had, you know, high protein. I had a very good typical ketogenic type of meal. And then I followed it with dessert, and that's when I had the things that I wanted to have as far as anything that has sugar in it, right? Anything that has high carbs that would typically spike my blood glucose level. And now you guys can check out what happened on my blood glucose monitor after consuming the savory, high protein, veggie meal and then having the sugar last. You can see I didn't really have much of a strong glucose response. And that's amazing because what this is doing now is slowing the absorption of that sugar, of that carbs, and steadying it out throughout the day. So now I'm not having this gigantic spike of insulin, which is going to bring you down really, really low, which is going to cause those cravings afterwards when you get really low. It brings you below your baseline of your typical blood glucose level, right? Now, I wouldn't do this every single day, but on occasion, it's perfect, right? So I did that throughout this entire trip, and it was great. I felt like I had complete freedom. I wasn't on a diet on vacation. I had wine. I was, not focused on fasting. And for dinner, same sort of scenario. I would have my veggie and my meat. So if I had steak and I had veggie, then I would follow that up with the dessert, and I would have whatever we're having for dessert. And here's the results for my blood glucose. Stable blood glucose is the goal. So I truly recommend that you check out this book. I'll put the link in the description below so you can grab it on Audible, wherever, because I think it's such a helpful, very helpful information. I'm even using this with my kids because I'm not clearly, my kids, I want them to be healthy and I want them to eat healthy foods. They love sugar, they love sweet foods, they love it. And this is allowing me to do it in a way that is healthy for them. I'm not spiking their blood sugar or blood glucose by having them start with that savory starter, like have your eggs first, have your bacon first. Then if you want a waffle, have a waffle. You know what I mean? Doing it in that method is actually very, very good. So that's what I did on vacation. Now, clearly I got kicked way out of ketosis, nowhere near in ketosis while I was on this trip, right? And then coming home, this is the thing. Normally, when I go on vacation and I come home, I'm bloated. I feel like I gained 20 pounds. I'm swollen. I've got major gut issues, major digestion issues, all of that. Throughout this entire trip, I didn't have any bloating, anything like that. And when I came home, I felt great. I'm sure I gained and put on water weight because that's what happens when you consume carbs. Your body retains water. But that was easily and quickly dropped once I got back to my fasting routine and got back to eating like a low-carb ketogenic lifestyle. That's a first for me, and I'm really loving this lifestyle for that, and also just the meal timing and doing all of this, following the glucose goddess recommendations, I think allowed me major freedom with food, but also helped me achieve my goals of feeling really great and not feeling like I just gained a ton of weight. Like, this is a picture of me on day 4 of my trip, when normally I would just be like, I wouldn't even be able to button my pants and all of that. So I got back from vacation. Right now I'm on day 4 of OMAD again. And the funny thing is, the same issues that I had when I first started OMAD my first month, that around day 3, I thought initially that it was because I cut out caffeine one day that I had this headache, but now I actually think it was keto flu, because once I started OMAD, right around day 3, I lost a lot of fluid, lost a lot of water, and when you do that, you also deplete sodium, and you can cause headaches, and it can kick you into keto flu, especially if you're following a low-carb lifestyle along with the OMAD. So that's what happened to me on day 3. I'm on day 4 now. So yesterday I had like a low, annoying headache kind of lingering around, and I got rid of that when I, like, about an hour before I broke my fast yesterday at 26 hours, I decided to do a workout, and that's when I actually mixed up some powdered nat ketones, which do have really, really great electrolytes within there, and there's very high sodium in there, so it replenished that sodium. Now, if you're not using supplements, you could always just use some salt, some sea salt, and drink that if you experience those headaches, but there's other things in there as well, as far as B vitamins, and when you get a boost of blood ketones, it can help you with the keto flu symptoms also. Because here's the thing, literally back to fasting, my first day fasting, I did like 30 hours, and I broke my fast, and then we're going to talk about the best time to break your fast too, because in my opinion, there is a major difference between breaking your fast in the morning or in the evening or in the afternoon. But I went that 30-hour stretch. I had my one meal, low carb keto, and then I had another 26-hour stretch in there, and then ate my meal, and then going for another stretch. And throughout this entire time, testing my blood ketone levels, they're ranging between 0.4 or 0.8, very low on the scale of blood ketone readings, because obviously I kicked myself out of ketosis and I have to burn up that glycogen store. We can store up to 400 calories within our liver and then more within our muscles, and so I needed to burn through a lot of that glycogen before my body was going to switch back over into ketosis and burning fat for fuel. Now in this process, when you're making that shift, you can feel like absolute trash and it can make you just feel terrible. Now you guys saw in my last OMAD video that I did how incredible I felt the entire month once I got over that hump of like the first initial few days of OMAD, right? This time around, I definitely experienced that same like lack of energy, kind of like foggy feeling when I just got back into this. And that's where adding in those nat ketones, I'm telling you, they can help you while you're in this transition, because bumping up my blood ketones for my workout, which I did strategically right before I broke my fast, was incredible. So I did this on multiple days, and getting that additional ketone level helped my energy, helped my focus, helped my mental clarity, helped the appetite control, helped me stay on track with it. So I do have sample kits that most people get started with, the mega pack, so they can try these out and it can help them ease into the whole fasting lifestyle. And eventually what it can do is you can use them within your fasting window if you want to as you get started, with the goal of moving them closer to your eating window, exactly like what I'm doing now, right? So we know that anything you consume that has any sort of flavor that is sweet, specifically sweet, is going to cause an insulin response through our saliva, right? Your saliva, even if it's 0 calories, is going to cause insulin. I'm not talking about a blood glucose spike, I'm talking about an insulin spike, which is two totally separate things. Usually when we see high blood glucose, we also see high insulin. But when you have low blood glucose, you can still have a high insulin, and the insulin is the fat storing hormone. That's what causes your body to stay at a specific size and makes you feel like you can't reach the next level of your goals because you've got too much insulin in your system. Typically that's what it is. And the way we trigger too much insulin is we are eating or consuming something of flavor all throughout the day. Whether it contains calories or not, we are consuming something with flavor all throughout the day. So if you're utilizing the nat ketones to help you with fasting or in your fasting window, you want to drink that within 30 minutes or less to avoid this from the insulin from being constantly triggered, right? You don't want to sip it all day long, and that's why I recommend when you're fasting, the goal should just be to have like a nice long stretch of just water, maybe a little bit of black coffee is fine, or tea, plain like green tea is perfectly fine within that fasted window, and utilizing supplements within there to help you push your window back and help you push your meal back. The next thing I want to talk to you guys about is hunger hormone, ghrelin. And if you're just barely getting started into fasting, your hunger hormone is something that is very trainable when it gets triggered. And ghrelin specifically gets triggered with time and the circadian rhythm, and it's going to be released at very predictable times during the day based on when you typically eat your meals and when you typically eat your food. Right now when I do OMAD, I'm not hungry at all because I've trained my body to release ghrelin at a specific time that is best for me. And this is why different times of the day might be better for you to have your OMAD meal based on when your ghrelin is typically released the highest. Now, one of the days that I've been back to OMAD, I had my one meal in the morning, and that's to me the hardest time to do it, because you're then going to go all day and then all night, and then you're going to break your fast the next day. But I don't want to break it in the morning again, so I'm going to go for a longer fast. I'll break it later in the afternoon, because you have that long day, and by the time it's like around 6-7 p.m., that's when it gets like, you start feeling like hungry again. And so for me, the absolute best time, and this is what I would suggest if you're like getting into this and you want to do this.
I'm going to pause this right here because I just want to make sure if you have diabetes or if you're on any medication, especially insulin, that you consult and work with the doctor before starting OMAD, time-restricted eating, or any fasting protocol. Also, those that shouldn't fast are pregnant nursing mothers, as well as anyone with a history of an eating disorder. You should probably speak to a professional before you get started on shifting around your eating windows.
The absolute best time, and this is what I would suggest if you're like getting into this and you want to do this, you actually allow yourself to program when you're going to be eating most of your meals. For me, it's best to do it between like 2 and 4 p.m., like to have like a nice big lunch that is like my lunch and my dinner. Skip breakfast, which is very easy to do once you get used to training those hormones to allow you to go longer stretches between your last meal and your first meals. Let's say you're used to having your last meal and you stop eating by like 9 p.m. Like maybe you have a meal at 8 and whatever, you stop eating by 9 p.m., you go to bed. You sleep all night, and then the next day you wake up and you're gonna have breakfast at like 7:30 or 8 a.m. Maybe that's your typical strategy right now, or not necessarily strategy, but eating pattern. And you want to move that so that eventually you can start doing like a 16-hour fasted window, which would take you till noon, right? And then you would have an 8-hour eating window. That's the typical 16-8. I did that for years, and it has helped me train myself to get to this point where I can do OMAD. And we'll talk about why I'm doing OMAD next and how it's a huge, massive benefit, not only to like fat loss, but also like longevity and health and all of that. When you get to that 16-hour point, to go from like a 12-hour to a 16-hour can be very difficult at first. And what you want to do to be successful at this, what I have been reading through the scientific literature and what I've seen personally from what has helped people, is they are consuming their first meal, if it's normally at 8 a.m., you just want to push it back to 8:45. And then the next day, maybe another 45 minutes later, and then the next day another 45 minutes later. So you're not just randomly pushing yourself until noon. You can do that, and of course your body, it'll take about 3 days before your body actually gets the signal to not release that ghrelin at that specific time and to start releasing it at the new time. But it can be very hard for some people, and for some people it causes them not to even make it to that point. The next thing you can do is you can implement those nat ketones, which I use very strategically within my lifestyle to get to this point. And you can put that in that place where you have your breakfast, and it will help you by boosting the blood ketone levels and by giving you those extra electrolytes and everything, but also there's appetite control within there, and will help you move that goalpost so that you can start breaking your fast at noon, and you can go for like a 8-hour window. And then from there, you can start moving your time that you are consuming your meals, and maybe go down from, like, let's just put it this way. You can have 3 meals a day with no snacking in between and get incredible results with fasting when you are doing those 3 meals within an 8-hour window with a 16-hour fast. Now, when you want to start moving it and shifting it is dependent on you. So then if you're like, okay, I want to do 2 meals instead of 3 meals, that just usually happens naturally because 3 meals is a lot of food for a lot of people. But making the transition from 3 meals down to 1 is very hard at first. So what you're going to want to do then is you drop it down to 2 meals, right, within that 8-hour window, and then maybe you start moving your 8-hour window to 6 hours, and then eventually once you get to the 4-hour window, then you can do 1 meal. And let's get on the topic of calories, because this is extremely important, right? They say a calorie is a calorie, right? But a calorie is a unit of energy, but a calorie of Oreo is not the same as a calorie of an avocado. Your body's going to do different things hormonally with those calories that you ingest and you consume. So if you are consuming whole foods, maybe low carbohydrate foods, high vegetables, healthy fats, your body's going to do something totally different with that meal than it will a meal full of sugar, glucose, and all of that, right? We know that, even if it's the exact same amount of calories. Now, if your goal is to burn body fat, fat and to lose fat, and you want to utilize fasting to help you in a way that you can start tapping into your stored fat for fuel, what you're going to want to do, and this is what's the magic of fasting, it's the magic of this. Calories in, calories out model, we already know when you try to reduce your calories and eat multiple meals a day and constantly spike your insulin with those multiple meals a day, we already know that that's a scenario that's going to cause you to gain the weight back that you lose because you're not fixing the hormonal problem. You have insulin, which is the fat storing hormone, and your body's going to try to get you back to your set weight. Your set weight is determined by insulin. And so if you can reduce your insulin, you can change your body's set weight, and you're going to now be working with your hormones to maintain your set weight based on a new lower weight that you want to achieve. So you don't gain that weight back. And the way you do this is through fasting. And so when you go a long period duration of just water, you are lowering your insulin levels in your blood. And that's allowing now your body to access your stored body fat. Now, if you are fasting and you are consuming the same amount of calories that's going to maintain your body weight, even though you are fasting, you're going to maintain your body weight. If you are consuming more calories than your body is burning, even through the fasting, there is a potential for you to gain weight as well, even though you're doing OMAD. So you don't want to just do OMAD one meal and then just pig out and go crazy. But one of the benefits of doing OMAD and having a long stretch of fasted time is that with this reset of your hormones, now all of a sudden you're going to get those satiety hormones to kick in a lot sooner, and you're going to get fuller on a lot less food. I don't have that urge to just like eat everything because I just fasted. I don't feel that at all. Actually, my appetite is much, much lower, and I'm able to eat a specific amount of foods based on what my appetite is. Now, I just watched a video and I did some research from Dr. Jason Fung on the calorie portion of fasting and why. Why is it that someone who uses fasting with maybe eating just a fewer calories than your body's burning versus someone who is doing low fat, low calorie throughout the day and just like scattering their meals in small multiple meals during the day, why is it that the fasting group doesn't gain the weight back? And the reason for that is that with the hormones, when you drop your insulin levels and then you consume a meal that fills you up to satiety, okay, so to satiety, you're following your hunger signal cues. This could be less calories than what your body is burning. However, you're following your body's signals and you're stopping eating when you're full, you're not stuffing yourself too full, and you're not purposefully trying to count calories to eat less to burn fat, because we don't want your body to think you're in a restriction. You want it to be completely satisfied to the point where your body is like, doesn't feel like there is a starvation scenario going on. There's plenty of food and you're getting plenty of food. But what happens is when your body is now burning at a higher rate than the amount of calories that you might be consuming within that one meal that you're having, or two meals or three, let's just use this scenario of fasting with lots of durations in between, your body now has access to your body fat to compensate for those extra calories. Because insulin is low, it can open those fat stores and it can access the calories and for what it needs. So if you're consuming 1,500 calories, but let's say your body burns 2,000 calories, your body now will take those 500 calories from your stored body fat and use it for fuel very easily, versus like reducing your metabolic rate, making you cold, like reducing the amount of body heat your body produces just to lower the amount of metabolic rate that you have so that you're burning a lower calorie amount, because your body wants to maintain homeostasis, right? So if you're counting calories and you're eating throughout the day and you're triggering insulin all throughout the day, but even though you're eating a lower amount of calories, you might lose some weight, but you're going to gain it all back because your hormones are going to try to push you back up to that set weight. If you're doing it with fasting, your body now has easy access, because of the moments when you have the low insulin levels, has easy access to all of this fuel that you have stored on your body, and it doesn't have to go through the process of lowering your metabolic rate. So This is why you do not have to worry about calories. Don't worry about it. Your body is going to tell you what to eat, when to eat, and how much to eat once you get into the role of this and get into the habit of it, and it becomes easy for you and you're on a stride with it. So that's exactly where I'm at now. So month 1, I was trying to make sure I was eating enough calories because I didn't want to lower my metabolic rate. And then now, after doing all of this research on the topic and listening to really great resources like Dr. Jason Fung on the topic of fat loss with fasting, now I'm not worried about eating enough. And if I'm full on less, I'm full on less. That's cool. Some days I'm probably going to eat more than others. I really don't care. I'm not tracking the calories at all. I'm not tracking anything. I am just focused on eating low carb foods, not spiking my blood glucose level. Maybe once a week I'm going to have, or twice a week, I'll have higher carbs within a meal. I'll kind of have it at the end of my meal, like a dessert or something. And then, but the majority of the time I'm focusing on trying to get into ketosis and stay in ketosis and also do this fasting. And that's the plan. So I hope that clears that up for you, because it was a major question for me, because I'm like, but how is your body going to burn fat if it has enough calories to not access your fat stores? And that's the answer. You actually do need to be slightly consuming a little bit less calories, which you will do naturally if you just listen to your body's hormone signals, because the hunger hormone and the satiety hormone are both going to work together as insulin starts lowering your body's set weight by keeping insulin low. All right, so it's going to keep you fuller on a lot less food, and that's okay. You don't have to worry about going into starvation. You don't have to worry about all of these crazy things. In my last video, I told you guys that I was just drinking a ton of water with this guy. I got these incredible straws off Amazon that help me with fasting, because I can kind of like chew the straws, and that chewing action kind of gives you this feeling, satisfies something in your brain. I don't know, but it does. And I just drink ice water all the time when I'm fasted. But there is some information that you do have to be careful on drinking too much water, because you don't want to, water can be toxic at really, really high levels. And the reason I don't have a problem with this, they say from the research I've done, you don't want to drink more than 3 liters of water. This is 1 liter. So you don't want to drink more than 3 liters of water within a day. Your kidneys can process 1 can process 1 liter of water per hour, but when your kidneys, if you put your kidneys into overload of processing all this water, it's going to start, you're going to be losing those electrolytes, you're going to be losing the sodium, you're going to be losing all of that. And meanwhile, while you are eating that one meal and maybe replenishing all of your electrolytes within that window of time, you want to be careful. And the reason I don't have an issue with this is because while I probably drink more than 3 of these, I might drink 4 of them in a day, but I drink it very slowly throughout the day. Like, I'll just take 1 sip. I'm not downing 3 of these in 1 hour. That's the point, okay? So if you're doing this, you're trying to drink more water, don't try to drink it all at once. Do it like a slow drip throughout the day. So this is where I'm saying, if you are drinking something with flavor in it, drink that within 30 minutes or less in your fasted window. But if you're drinking something like water, you want to drink that slowly over time. You don't want to drink it all at once. I'll just take a couple sips and I'll just sip it throughout the day, and I probably fill up, I would say 3 of them a day, maybe 3 of them plus my iced coffee that I have then, you know, 2 hours after I wake up. So that's an update. This is the update into month 2. This is week 1 into month 2. I'm going to keep you guys updated on all of these. Thank you so much for being a part of this. This has been a really fun journey and a new lifestyle that I'm embarking on, and I'm so excited about all the research into it, why we're doing this fasting, why we're doing the OMAD. There has so many more health benefits than just fat loss, and the biggest benefit comes from keeping your insulin levels low throughout the day, so now your body can access your stored body fat. But also, when your body's not digesting food all day, your body can now go in and repair damaged old cells. Any protein your body needs, it's going to take it then from loose skin, old cells, things that you don't need, right? It's like an internal cleansing and cleaning. It feels so good. I can barely explain how good it feels. It's definitely worth it to go through the process of like starting with a 16 8-hour fast and then moving it to an 18-hour fast and then getting to the point where you can do one meal a day. And for a lot of people, they don't do one meal a day every day, but maybe they'll do one meal a day every other day, and they kind of switch it up and change it up, which is great. But you also have to remember, when you do something in a pattern, that's when you start getting the hunger issues can go away. So if you're experiencing hunger right now while you are fasting, just understand, take it slowly, and this will go away with time as your body gets used to your brand new pattern of eating. Now, my continuous glucose monitor that I talked about at the beginning, I strongly recommend everyone gets one of that. Those, especially if you're doing fasting, so you can see how your blood glucose reacts to your fasting. So you can see that you're not like low, because a lot of times people be like, I can't fast because I get so low in blood sugar that I have to eat everything and I get starving. But when you have a continuous glucose monitor, you can see your blood sugar, blood glucose 24/7, and you can see that you don't have that experience. And if you do have that experience, you'll know what to do, right? And so that, I think, is one of the best tools that I have found for this lifestyle. And Levels, the continuous glucose monitor that I use, if you want to look up information about them, I'll put the link right here. But they're going to do, they want to give away 3 of these 3 monitors to 3 different people. This is like so cool, right? 3 different people who are watching this video. You're going to win an entire month of this Levels continuous monitor. They'll send you the monitors, they will get you hooked up with the entire system, their app, everything. It's so cool. So this is just for my subscribers and my followers, and here's how you can get entered into that. First, make sure you're subscribed to this channel, and then you're gonna comment on this video. Just say, I'm subscribed, comment, and then you're going to go to Levels YouTube channel and you're gonna subscribe to Levels YouTube, okay? And then I am going to draw a winner 1 week from today. I'm gonna run the random name picker that pulls from comments, and it's gonna pull 3 different winners, and those 3 winners are going to get the month free, which is crazy. It's so insane. So definitely do that. I'm so excited to offer this giveaway to you guys, and I know you will love it because I am totally obsessed with this. This is how I get that data and that feedback right away, and this is how I know what I'm doing is helping me towards my goals. And this is also how I know that food timing makes a major impact on blood glucose, and just keeping those spikes to a minimum is ideal and is the goal. And I wouldn't know that if I didn't have this monitor on me. So thanks guys for watching this one. I hope you enjoyed it. In the next one, I'm going to be updating you very soon, so be sure you hit that subscribe button anyway so you get these updates, and hopefully I can keep you on track with this lifestyle. And don't forget to follow me over on Instagram, because in Instagram stories I am very, very active with what I'm eating, how I'm doing OMAD, everything. Minute by, not really minute by minute because I don't live in Instagram, but I'm there very frequently. So if you want to stay on track, get motivated, all of that, go follow me over on Instagram, and I will see you guys in the next one.